Hugh Culverhouse. I'd like to tell you why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be a success.
When the ball was kicked off in our first football game, I felt we didn't have a chance to win. we just weren't good enough.
I bombed as badly as anybody's ever done in the history of the league.
We went through 140-some players the first year. If their heart was beating and their arms were warm, they were on the field.
The team was bad, but the coach was good. I don't know what we'd have done if we had a nobody.
We were the butt of jokes around the country, around the world.
It had to teach us a lot about life. That is an experience that will be with me for the rest of my life.
You can always debate which was the greatest NFL dynasty. Lombardi's Packers, the Steel Curtain in Pittsburgh, Don Shula's Dolphins, throw in Landry's Cowboys, Walsh's 49ers. You can make an argument for any of them. But when it comes to picking the worst team of all time, there's no debate. It's the 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They went 0-14, didn't win a single game. And we were with them every step of the way, documenting their first season in the NFL.
One Buccaneer place becomes the new home of the Bucs in June of 1976. The football team takes its character from its people. And only when 40 men take the field for the first time as members of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will the birth of the Bucs be complete.
This is the 25th anniversary of that season. So we thought we'd revisit that team and the year they made the worst kind of football history.
Well, I got very friendly with Hugh Culverhouse, the original owner of the Bucs. He was very interested in NFL films and what we were doing. And since he had a brand new team, he was interested to see that we documented it well.
May I say that we're here for one reason and one reason only. And that's to bring the fans great professional football.
And he said, Ed, I'm going to give you anything you want here. I want this to be a good history of the Buccaneers.
You knew NFL films were around all the time. It was kind of a given. So it wasn't a distraction to me, but I think it was for Coach and the guys that came from SC because they were used to a much more controlled environment.
It was his first professional team. He was coming from the college ranks, and although it was a high-profile school, USC, I don't think he was used to having this much attention being paid to him by NFL films.
Well, they can't come out on the field. We never allowed to put the camera in SC out on the field.
Gentlemen, if you don't get that camera out there, I'm going to shove it right up your ears.
At first, McKay was so conscious of our wireless mic, he actually covered it with his hat when one of his assistants tried to talk to him.
There's a cold beer if you'd like one in Mr. Culverhouse's office for the coaches.
Really find out who will catch the ball.
It took a while, but finally the coach lightened up enough to include us in his jokes.
It's just a matter of finding out who will catch the ball in traffic, and I think that will be the telling factor as to who we actually end up keeping.
Well, that ought to be a son of a mother picture.
I was laughing so hard, I couldn't hold the camera steady.
That's a great idea. And you can print that. It's strictly off the record. That's a great answer.
Now, you've heard the term outtakes. Well, in films, it means mistakes, flubs, you know, all the kinds of embarrassing things you leave on the cutting room floor. Well, imagine trying to make a film with nothing but outtakes. That's the problem we faced with Birth of the Bucs.
You're going to run the curl. You're going to hustle. It's all right. You had to catch his mid, you'd have caught it. Put down, I'll change this drill. This looks like a fire drill in a third grade school. I don't think anybody will make the Olympic team on this squad at this time.
You know, sometimes you question whether your memory is accurate, especially after 25 years. So I was sort of curious to look at this footage again to see if the Bucs were really as bad as I remembered. And I discovered, no, they were actually worse. Everything about the Buccaneers seemed wrong from the start. Even the uniform design and logo.
I thought they were terrible. I thought they were ugly. Remind me of a pirate movie I saw with Earl Flynn. You know, Earl Flynn had one of those pirate hats on with the pirate on the side and the color, and I didn't like it. I didn't think it would go well in the NFL, but those were the colors that were chosen by the ownership, so we went with it. But I didn't like it. I mean, the players didn't like him either.
When we had a lot of the orange on, we looked like big creamsicles. We weren't fond of the colors. He didn't look too frightful. He was supposed to be a swashbuckler, but he looked like a happy fellow on the side of the helmet.
One person who appreciated the uniform was the man who lived with it every day, equipment manager Pat Marcacello.
I think it's a great-looking logo. I think it's a great-looking logo. It was originally going to be called Tampa Bay Orange, and NFL property said, let's call it Florida Orange. So that's what it goes by, it's Florida Orange. People say it's Tennessee Orange, it's not. It's not Tennessee Orange, and it's not Texas Orange. It's just, it's a different orange, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the only ones that use it.
I thought it was a pretty sharp logo. Of course, I'm going to, because my feelings were getting hurt by all this constant criticism of this uniform and the helmet.
It's true. People around the league laughed at the Bucs uniforms. Mike Ditka called them the pastel patsies.
Some people called it Bruce the Buccaneer. That's because they lost. I'll guarantee you they'd have been manly enough if they'd have won. We know that.
At this time, I would like for you to meet the staff of the team that we've got together so far. Ron Wolf. Ron is a vice president of operations. He was head of the Oakland Raiders personnel for 13 years, and Ron is #1 man.
In 1976, Ron Wolf was the chain-smoking, workaholic general manager of the Buccaneers. At 37, he was a bright young guy, but he aged rapidly that first season.
I came in, I was too cocky, too confident. I was not as smart as I thought I was. This was my big opportunity to go in and show everybody in the National Football League that I could run a franchise. I bombed as badly as anybody's ever done in the history of the league.
Well, that's a frank afraid.
No, it is. That's the truth.
I think the main thing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need are quality football players in order to become competitive. The biggest thing we're trying to avoid is being embarrassed in the National Football League this season.
It was on-the-job training. We were learning on the job, and during my watch, we set a standard in Tampa Bay that'll never be topped in the National Football League. 0-26. I cringe every time I hear that, and I root for a lot of people to break that, but I know that'll be one record that'll never be broken.
Ron's fortunes improved considerably when he went to Green Bay in 1991. He built a team that won 3 straight division titles, back-to-back conference championships, and a Super Bowl in 1997.
Well done. To the fans of Green Bay, this is yours as much as it is ours, and we thank you very much for that.
When we interviewed Ron, he had just announced his retirement as general manager in Green Bay. He was far removed from that '76 season, but he did have some fond memories of his time in Tampa Bay.
The one thing that happened to me in Tampa, that's the greatest thing that's ever happened to Ron Wolf, is I met my wife there. We've had 22 years of marriage now. We have 2 children. And it's, even though we went 0-26, the best thing that ever happened to me was I met my wife there. That'll be on the floor, I know. I put that, just throw that in there. Get that out of there.
The most impressive statistics associated with the 1976 Bucs all belong to Abe Gibron, the team's wide-bodied defensive coordinator.
We have a coach by the name of Abe Gibron that I truly love. He's a super guy, but I do get headaches when I have to order his coaching gear. As you can see in these coaching shorts, he has about a 50 waist, and up to a normal person's size, you can see the difference. And just talking about Abe's clothes in general, he has a size 11 Triple E shoe. His waist size is about 50. He wears a 4X shirt. He's just a very large person.
5, 33, 35, 10, 3,
a cartoon character, one of the all-time great guys. God didn't invent many ABs.
You know, his upper body was like a sumo wrestler, but from his waist down, he was one part of a ball player. From his waist up, he was another.
His behind just kind of went this way and his waist went that way, so it just didn't work.
The funny thing about Abe was that he was big, and yet he was quick on his feet.
If Abe started to run and started to chuckle, his pants would always go down to his knees, and you have to always hitch him up.
Let's go, come on. Come on, Kotzel. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Bring it in. Pants. Don't fight for it. And everything pulls your pants down.
He was a real character. He was fun to be around. Gosh, he was fun to be around.
We have the head of our pro scouting is Tom Bass from Cincinnati Bengals. Tom Bass.
Director of Pro Personnel Tom Bass looked like a James Bond villain, but inside that menacing body beat the heart of a poet.
Tom Bass was probably I thought, as much of a two-personality person as I'd ever seen. He was so gentle when he'd write poetry and then recite it to you. And then you see what a hulk of a man he was.
Yeah, he was intimidating. Very gruff and tough guy. If I was in a fight, I'd want him on my side, not the other side. One important thing that I remember about him is he writes poetry, and he's really very, very good. He has several books of poetry out on the market now.
Today, Bass is retired and lives near the beach in Carlsbad, California.
I enjoy the water. I think the water is important to my life. And I started writing poetry when I was coaching because I didn't have a lot of time to write anything else. I feel the pain at odd moments throughout the day. It serves as a constant reminder of the price that sometimes must be paid for a brief few moments of glory and success. It's never really there on those Sunday afternoons when for 20 weeks I lose myself in playing, becoming so involved I forget about my body, loving just to play. There can be no doubt who will be the loser in the end. But I would have it no other way. Pro football is my way of life, and part of me shall die the year I can no longer play.
Tampa Bay Buccaneer promotional film roll 3.
We didn't know what to expect when we started filming Birth of the Bucs during the 1976 training camp. We'd never done this before, follow a team literally from its first day of existence right through the season. It was a test for our camera crews, but it was more of a test for the coaches, who had just 8 weeks to mold this collection of misfits into an NFL team.
I remember the very first day when a ragamuffin bunch of kids came under that goalpost trying to look important, trying to look like the National Football League.
We had so much enthusiasm that we had a team in Tampa. That first summer camp, we'd go out there and say, hey, we're going to win some games. The team's not going to be bad. It's not going to be a typical expansion team. But then reality came in later on.
As far as the talent is concerned, I was shocked. We had players that probably couldn't have played at the University of Southern California on our second team, and they were starting for us. Our first couple staff meetings, we were looking at each other saying, wow, we have a ways to go here.
Good. Yeah.
We went through 140-some players the first year. If their heart was beating and their arms were warm, they were on the field.
We basically got a lot of guys that nobody else wanted, including me. I'd played 9 years at San Francisco, only played about 1 of the 9 years, so I was very expendable.
We had our names on pieces of tape stuck to the front of our helmet so that, you know, we'd know who each other was, and so the coaches would know who each other was. A collection of guys from all over the place getting together. I mean, in the first day, people introducing people to one another. Nobody knew who anybody was. I introduced myself to one guy, a guy named Pornell Dickinson, who was one of our quarterbacks. I said, I'm John McKay. He went, you're the coach? And I didn't think I looked that old at the time.
The only thing more depressing than the practices was the heat.
I'll tell you one thing, it seems to me like it got hotter since we came out here.
I remember going out for the first practice and looking around at all these guys, and they were all dying. I mean, it was just so humid and hot.
I've never been in such warm conditions as there were here in July and August.
Different kind of heat. It was very humid. You could set your watch by it.
We actually welcomed the daily rain showers that would interrupt practice. I thought the Thunder and Lightning was a better show than the Buccaneers.
Every day after practice, the rains come, adding to the mind-bending sameness of summer camp.
The players found out that Coach McKay was deathly afraid of lightning. And the minute lightning was anywhere around, you know, he'd call out practice.
When he saw it in the distance, we got off the field. He didn't want to take any chances.
The thunder and lightning was incredible. I can remember one day, Steve Sable looks at me and he goes, "Hank, let's go up this roof here and shoot some of this lightning."
Other than the control tower at the airport, Hank McElwee and Steve Sable were the highest things in the area in an amazing electrical storm.
And I can remember we had trash bags on his raincoats. And we're standing on this metal roof, and there's lightning going all around us, and I'm saying to myself, this is it. There's no way we're not going to get struck by lightning.
The most memorable scene in Birth of the Bucs involved a free agent rookie halfback from the University of Illinois named John C. Wilson.
2 years away from the game have begun to erode his skills. But perhaps an even greater indictment is his difficulty in learning the plays.
Well, I know I'm not doing too good as far as mental, but I think you're taking me along a little slow because I'm a little slow in learning, but I can learn. The hardest thing, it has to be the mental aspect. I study a lot. You know, I'm about got it down now, just about.
Now, Hank and I had positioned our camera at the far end of the field, and we were rolling when John McKay told the rookie he was cut. It was the first time we'd ever captured anything like that on film.
We're going to have to let you go. Right. But I think you've worked real hard, Johnny, on it and things. But I think there's 2 or 3 guys that haven't played as much in the last year or two, and I think it's tough to come back, you know. I think you've lost some of your speed. Do you feel like you've lost some of your speed?
Well, no, not really, but like a growing muscle went kind of bad on me.
John C. Wilson never caught on with another team, and he quietly faded from sight, except for those occasions when we would rerun that footage. Now, when we were putting this film together, we thought, now here is the ultimate lost treasure, John C. Wilson. Let's see if we can find him. We put our entire research staff to work trying to track down the elusive John C. Wilson.
It took about 6 of us making calls for about 2 months. It was a very tedious process to go through.
Hi, this is Chris Hangley. I'm calling from NFL Films.
We're trying to track down a John C. Wilson.
He tried out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 1976.
After weeks of dead ends, finally, Erica Pitt found our man. He was living in the tiny town of Kingstree, South Carolina.
I was so excited that after all these phone calls, I actually found him. Like, it was done.
You'll never believe it. You'll never believe it. And she told him, I got him. I finally got him. Don't go anywhere now. Don't go anywhere now. I finally got him.
Now, there isn't much going on in Kingstree. When we arrived to interview John, it was the lead story in the local paper. John met us at the Kingstree Junior High School, where he works as a truant officer. He still didn't understand why we had traveled all this way just to interview him. As it turned out, John had never seen the film until our producer, Louis Schmidt, played it for him that day.
Okay, hit the play button and let's see what we got here.
One boy is having some problems out there, as you know, John Wilson, Coach. 2 years away from the game have begun to erode his skills. But perhaps an even greater indictment is his difficulty in learning the play.
We're going to have to let you go. We'll have to put you on waivers, but if somebody picks you up, why don't you just work out every day? If you're not in shape to show the coach, he has no idea of your ability because he hasn't seen you before. Okay? Sure. Thanks, John. Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Oh, man, that was a day. Like I said, I had no malice. I felt to give you a fair shake because I had been out, and so I felt good within myself that I had done the best I could.
Did you follow them that season? And what did you feel when they didn't win a game that whole season?
Man, I thought maybe that there were some times that, you know, like any human being, if I were in certain situations, I could have helped, but...
When McKay cut you, and I know that was bad news, right. You were listening to him, did you have any idea that there were cameras around you?
No.
Never saw the cameras?
Well, I had tunnel vision at the time, television as to, so well, if I'm going back home now, you know, what am I going to do?
As soon as I got all my plays down and everything, I get axed. I didn't even get a chance to meet half the fellas on the team, you know. I called my granddad, you know. I told him, I said, Daddy, could you come and get me because I just got cut? And he got all nervous there. I guess he thought I really got cut with a knife or something, you know. I said, nah, not with a knife. I just got cut off the team, you know. I tell how he was acting, you know.
What do you say? Oh, you hurt?
No, first he said, you got what?
I'm glad you came. This made my year. I can go hairs on my chest now.
Okay. Great.
On July 30th, the Buccaneers flew to Los Angeles for the preseason opener, the first game in franchise history.
It's a long flight from Tampa, Florida to Los Angeles. And we had chartered this plane called McCullough Airlines. And I'd never heard of McCullough Airlines. The only McCullough I ever heard was chainsaws. You know what I'm saying? And now there's a McCullough Airlines, I'm a little bit worried right away.
For John McKay, it was a return to the scene of his greatest coaching glory.
Welcome back to Los Angeles, Coach.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
John, you've had a chance to see this team now during the training camp. How good a team are we going to see?
I have no idea. They barely know each other's names.
We actually had a lot of fans out here because of my dad primarily, and the fact that we had probably a dozen SC players on the team at the time.
Going back to my hometown and so many people I know and like out there, and I hope some of them like me and come to the game. It'll be an unusual thing, I guess, but I'm fully prepared to meet my maker out there.
At the LA Coliseum, the teams dress in adjacent locker rooms, and the Buccaneers seemed defeated just watching the Rams file out of the door. It was the first glimpse of what was ahead for John McKay that season. The coach agreed to wear a microphone that night. The result was vintage McKay, equal parts anger and humor.
Don't hit him. Don't hit him. Come on, let's hit some leather. Boy, geez. Gentlemen, we can't stop a pass or a run. Otherwise, we're in great shape. There are a hell of a lot of careers going to end Monday. Yeah, let's play everybody. Hell, we're just hard. We're not proving one thing here. We prove we can't play. Now let's just play some guys. Hey, Matt, why in the hell don't you run with the football? There's another damn chicken we got out here. That's what I say. We got so many cooks and no salad. Yeah, I would figure that you would stagger around. What's wrong with playing Mon in the game? He tackles. He's only got one chance to make his football team, and he acts like he's got it made. He ain't got nothing made.
The biggest thing I remember was the sideline. The sideline issue. Coach always wanted the guys back from the sideline. You can't be on the sideline. You got to be back, and the guys were never back.
Back up, fellas, back up, please, so we can see. Is there any way that we can get these people to sit down?
He was screaming, you know, who's in charge of the sideline? And, of course, nobody wanted to be in charge of the sideline. And then he turned around and he said, I'm cutting everybody that's close to the sideline. Everybody that's near the sideline is cut.
If I don't get them down, I will cut them, baby, so they'll be down.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think that's going to happen, Coach.
You want to go with quarterback, Coach? Let's go with Parnell. Parnell, you go in the next series.
Late in the game, it appeared the Bucs had scored their first ever touchdown on a run by backup quarterback Parnell Dickinson.
I recall a touchdown being called back because I think somebody was holding on the play. But those type of things happened all year long. I mean, at every game there was something that would go wrong.
It was a broken play. It was a scramble play. And he was very, very upset with the execution of the offense in that game.
Bunch of UCLA rejects beating him.
I always felt that was so hard for him to return to a place where he had had so much success and to walk in there and know that it wasn't going to turn out the way he wanted it to. That had to be hard.
Gentlemen, I would hope the hell we could play more aggressive football. I have never seen a team tackle this poorly in football in my whole life. 27 years of coaching, that's the worst exhibition of tackling.
Coach, what do you think of your professional debut? What's it like in the professional ranks? Anything special?
Well, we didn't block him, no. But we made up for it by not tackling.
John McKay won 4 national championships at USC. He wrote books and lectured on the science of winning. But none of that prepared him for his first season in Tampa. 14 league games, 14 losses. There's never been another season like it.
10 yards is not very far on a football field, but with our offense, when we broke the huddle, it may as well have been a mile. I remember late in the season we had to go up to Pittsburgh, play the Steelers with Bradshaw, Mel Blount, Lynn Swann, Franco Harris, and that one of the greatest teams in the history of the NFL. I don't think I've ever gone on a field feeling less confident in that we would somehow get a win. We played them tough. I think we lost 42-0.
They could have named the score. I mean, they were so much better than we were. And then there were jokes made about us, and we were the butt of jokes around the country, around the world.
And the comedians like Johnny Carson on a nightly basis would have jokes about the Buccaneers.
We were very often on his show, and it was a part of his monologue.
At least he's talking about us. You know, he's not talking about the Rams or the Bears or somebody else. He's talking about our football team.
The Bucs knew when they faced Seattle in Week 6, it might be their only chance for a win. You see, the Seahawks were also a first-year team, and both clubs were 0-5 when they met in what the press called the Expansion Bowl.
This was kind of the measuring stick. We both came in at the same time. We're, you know, let's see where we are. How are we compared to them?
I thought, personally, that we match up well against this team, and I think this is going to be our first win. And then you really go in there with this attitude, we're going to win the game. Confident we're going to win the game.
The game went back and forth. Neither team was really good enough to win, but the Bucs were just bad enough to lose.
I think of all the losses we took, that was the hardest. It was horrible. The guys were totally depressed. I think it was probably the lowest point of the year.
I can remember crying after that game, and it's just like, I can't believe it. I can't believe we didn't win this game.
I think that was like the final dagger when we didn't get Seattle. Then we knew that this was definitely a possibility of not winning any.
That's when it first set in that, my goodness, we're going to go through this whole thing and never win a game. What a disgrace that is.
Toward the end of that year, you know, you will begin to kind of wonder, well, you know, the odds got to be in our favor to win a game. Just purely on odds, for the sake of odds. We should win one game here, but it didn't happen.
Election. Make it interesting.
The year 2001 marks the silver anniversary of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But there are no ceremonies planned to honor that 76 team. No reunions, no parades. It may just be that this film is the only recognition they receive.
I'm kind of sad that they're not going to honor the team. I think what the team went through together, you know, with that losing season is unique in the annals of pro football and probably all sport.
Most of us knew we weren't on the way to the Hall of Fame, and that when and if the team got to be really good, most of us probably wouldn't be around anymore. It was a very close-knit group for that reason.
Even though they weren't the greatest memories in the world, they are memories, and a lot of good things came out of that. A lot of the things that happened to us made us better people for it. Of course, we would love to have been undefeated rather than winless, but we had some great times, and I made some great friends along the way, and we built something that was really good.
Just for the record, the Bucs didn't win a regular season game until December of their second season. Their losing streak had reached 26 games by then. They finally beat the Saints in New Orleans, and when they flew home, there were 5,000 fans waiting at the airport to greet them.
ESPN Classic thanks you.